Welcome back to a Clear Config video on Windows 10 services. Now I'm not going to be covering every service on Windows 10, just the new services that have been added since Windows 8.1. If you'd like, you can go back and watch my Windows 7 video. My Windows 7 services video encompasses all the services. For this, we're going to get started by clicking the taskbar in the search menu and typing in services.msc. We're then going to right click on it and go to Run as an Administrator. If you open this without running as administrator, you won't be able to change any of the services, you'll only be able to view them. And once we have the dialog open, we're going to go up to the All Join Router Service. All Join is a service that runs IoT, Internet of Things, or it's a new protocol that allows devices to communicate with each other inside your home. You can go ahead and disable this, as it does have a vulnerability. It can allow people to denial of service attack you. If you see Andre RT Filter Service, this is quite simply an HP service that allows for noise cancellation. If you go to App Readiness, preparing new applications that are installed or running applications for the first time, you can go ahead and leave that one running. We've got AppX Deployment Service. Now, Application X Deployment Service, you'll see, even though it's a new service, that it's grayed out and it's manual because it is actually required. And there will be a bunch of these new services that you'll notice are grayed out. And the only way to change these services is to actually use a registry entry or go to regedit and change the service directly through the registry. Next one we're going to look at is the auto time zone. Now the auto time zone simply changes the time zone of your computer when you move from time zone to time zone. I went ahead and disabled this. You'll notice that there's some Bluetooth hands-free and Bluetooth support services here. Again, they're just updated versions of the original Bluetooth services. If you're using Bluetooth devices, be sure to leave these enabled. They're just another backport for attackers to try and communicate with. Next, we're going to look at the client license service, but basically it's just licensing for the Windows Store applications. Next, we're going to go down a little bit down the list here, and we're going to go to connected devices and platform services. Now, connected devices and platform services is related to Xbox and other media-related services such as touch devices. I'm not running any of those, so I can actually safely disable this. If you are, please leave it enabled. Connected user experiences and telemetry. Now, this particular service has been one of great controversy. When Windows 10 was originally released, this was being used by Microsoft to spy on its users' data. They were monitoring which websites you were going to, which applications you were installing, what you were doing on your computer at all times. And eventually, because of the scrutiny from the public finding out about it, they were forced to remove it. About a patch or two later, they re-added it as the Connected User Experiences and Telemetry service. You'll go ahead and disable that one. Next, we'll be looking at contact data. Now, contact data, again, it's grayed out. Contact data is simply for your contact information for any of your applications and accounts, like Windows Mail. Next, we're going to be looking at core messaging. And core messaging, quite simply, it allows you to send or receive SMS and MMS messages through cell phone service from your laptop or desktop. Data collection publishing. Data collection publishing allows you to access local and remote account information and share local account and remote account information. I don't use a whole lot of these accounts, so I'm going to disable it on mine. The data sharing service is another one, very similar, only it sends it between local applications. Delivery optimization. Delivery optimization is primarily used for those updates for applications. It will check local PCs that are on your local network and actually find out if any of the local PCs have updates that can be applied to your computer, and then if it doesn't find it, it will go to the internet. Looking at device install service. The device install service removes device driver information automatically with little or no user input, so you don't actually have to do anything for it to get the correct driver information or remove bad driver information. The next one we're looking at here is device management enrollment service. Now, device management enrollment service is a part of the Active Directory services for computer accounts and machine certificates, and enrolls and registers your device. If you're not in an Active Directory environment, you can go ahead and disable it. Device Setup Manager. Now, Device Setup Manager checks Windows Update every night like clockwork for any device driver updates, and it keeps your Windows updated. You can go ahead and leave that one. Dev Query Background Discovery Broker runs in the background and enables applications to discover any device that's been connected. You can go ahead and leave that on manual. Next one we're going to look at is the DMW app. This is just a push messaging service that will send or receive application push messages. So you go ahead and leave that one or disable it. Going down, we're going to download Maps Manager. Now, download Map Manager, it simply updates your maps from the Windows apps, and it allows it to actually access your physical location. Windows Embedded Mode Service. Now, you'll notice here that it's actually grayed out because it's an essential service. Embedded mode allows access to applications using this particular device, but also enables functionality for other background tasks that can run forever. Again, it's an IoT service protocol, and the only way to restrict it or change it is if you use a regedit and change the registry, Windows registry directly. Going on, there's Enterprise App Management Service, and again, this one is grayed out. It stores and non-store apps as part of the native MDM, or mobile device management. It's new to Windows 10, and its ability to inventory all of your applications. Going down a little bit further, we got File History Service, and basically File History creates backups of your documents, music, pictures, videos, and desktop folders, along with OneDrive for offline use. Next is Geolocation Service. Now, this is a service just to get your geographical location. It's used for every application on the entire computer, but it is accessible to a remote attacker, so I have disabled it. We have HV host services. Now, all of the Hyper-V or HV host services are all related to virtual machines. These services are extremely susceptible to manipulation by remote attackers, so if you have not got any designs on creating or using virtual machines for any purpose, make sure you disable these. Very important. It will significantly reduce the attack surface of Windows 10. Infrared monitor services. Now, infrared monitor services detect any nearby computers that are in range or devices that are in range and launches the file transfer application. And because of the nature of the service, I've disabled it. I don't have any other wireless devices that I want to file transfer with, and it's just another way to reduce the attack surface of the computer. Going on a little bit further down the list, we have the local session manager. Again, this is an absolute requirement for Windows. It's a core Windows service that manages all local user sessions. So again, it's grayed out, so it cannot be disabled. Next one we're looking at is Microsoft Diagnostics Hub. And Microsoft Diagnostic Hub, this has actually been proven to be vulnerable recently by remote attackers. And I think Microsoft did an update not too long ago. I think it was its anniversary update actually that patched this to stop it from being so accessible by remote attackers. Basically all it does is it is event tracing, and it records application information, user information, and kernel event information to logs for debugging purposes. But some of the remote attackers have found a way to steal the log information or to turn it on and record the log information as it's logging in the background. And as a result, they were able to gain access to the kernel and the kernel resources. So I've disabled this one. Now I skipped over one there. It's the messaging service. The messaging service enables applications to run at different times to communicate across networks and systems that may be temporarily offline. So basically what it does is if your computer is sending messages to another system on the network and the system is off, when the system comes back online, that service will make sure that it receives the message. I've left it on mine. It's not much of a security related threat. There are very few vulnerabilities for it, but you could disable that if you don't have any other computers on your network. The next one we're looking at here is the Microsoft Account Sign-In Assistant. And the Microsoft Account Sign-In Assistant provides end-user sign-in service for Microsoft Enable accounts. Now, if you use remote accounts like Microsoft accounts to sign into your computer, you will absolutely need this service. If you're using a local account and only local accounts, you will not. Now, we have touched a little bit on that, Microsoft Account Sign-In Assistant. The Passport and the Passport Container services, they both verify user and business accounts information. Two-factor authentication. One manages the local user identity keys used to authenticate the users and identity providers. The other provides two-factor authentication. So they're absolutely essential, especially if you have any Microsoft accounts. And you'll notice that they're grayed out as well, so that you can't change them. Microsoft Storage Spaces is a host service for the Microsoft storage space. It helps protect your data from drive failures and extends storage over time as you add additional drives to your PC. You can group 2 or more drives together into a storage pool and then use capacity from that pool to create virtual drives for your storage spaces that are called storage spaces. That's the purpose of it. Only works though if you have 2 or more hard drives in your computer. Next is Microsoft Windows SMS Router Service. And the Windows SMS Router Service activates a workflow service host, which creates an instance store, such as an SQL workflow. And basically it invokes a method on the store to load any workflow service instance from the instance store into the memory of the computer. So it's actually pretty handy. In my particular instance, I'm not using SMS for workflow service hosting, so I've disabled it. You have phone service, and phone service allows Cortana for Android users to get missed calls, notifications directly on their PC. As I don't hook my phone into my laptop, I've disabled the service. Next, we're going to look at Radio Management Service. Now, Radio Management Service, simply what it does is it's the airplane mode service for your laptop or your desktop or whatever you have your Windows 10 copy on. And you can go ahead and disable that service unless you're planning on going on a flight. There's a Retail Demo Service. The Retail Demo Service is actually just what they use inside of retail stores for demoing the products before they sell them to you. So go ahead and disable this. We have the Sensor Data Service. Now, Sensor Data Service is a unified sensor interface for universal drivers for Windows 10. It will support a slew of environmental and biometric and proximity and health and motion sensors. The vast majority of these devices, however, cost more than my car, so I don't think that vast majority of you will probably need these, at least not for the foreseeable future. Some of these devices are just hitting trade shows and conventions and things like that now, so I'd recommend you disable this. And same with the Sensor Monitoring Service and Sensor Service as well. It's just meant to expose data in different ways for wireless devices, so you might as well go ahead and disable this back end. To state repository. The state repository service provides required infrastructure support for the API. It is an absolute essential for the computer's operation. And as you can see here, it's grayed out. Going down a little bit further, we have the storage tiers management. And storage tiers management is an automated progression or demotion of data across tiers or storage devices and media. I have mine disabled because I don't have any use for the additional storage tiers. The title data model server, again, you're going to notice that this is grayed out. This is quite simply for the Windows Start menu now that has all those tiles on it. Update orchestrator service. The update orchestrator service for Windows Update runs Windows updating services and is responsible for rebooting your computer after starting your Windows updates and finishing your Windows updates. You'll notice that there's user data access here, and the user data access provides access to structured user data, including contact info, calendars, messages, other content that's related to the built-in Windows applications. The user data storage just handles the storage of the same thing. You have the wallet service. Now, I don't know how many of you do a lot of online shopping, but I don't save my credit card information on my computer. I think that's a really terrible idea. And it could land you in some hot water if some remote attacker was ever to penetrate your computer and actually get your credit card information. You'd be buying all sorts of stuff that you never actually got. So I keep this service disabled, and don't ever add your credit card information to your computer. Just don't do it. Okay. Moving on, we have Windows Camera Frame Server here, and Windows Camera Frame Server connects to the data streams from webcams. So basically, it takes all of the multiple connections from an application and shares the video data from the camera to every one of these connected applications simultaneously. I have mine disabled because I don't use my built-in webcam on my laptop. Moving on, we have two new Windows Defender services here, and if you're familiar with Windows 7 or Windows 8.1, you'll probably be familiar with Windows Defender service. It's the built-in anti-malware application, antivirus application. It's a very lightweight code. It worked pretty well on Windows 7, but it's been depreciated now. Windows License Manager Service. The Windows License Manager Service is associated with purchasing the applications from the Windows Store. We have Windows Mobile Hotspot service here. Now, Windows Mobile Hotspot has been, again, another service of great debate. Many people say that it can't be back-ended or that a remote attacker can abuse it, but it's almost guaranteed that somebody will be able to back-end this service at some point in time. So I've gone ahead and disabled this service. The more services that you turn off and you disable when it comes to creating remote connections or connections to any devices, really helps to reduce the attack surface of the API. And whenever you do that, it gives any attacker less avenues to actually try and penetrate the system with. Then there's push notification services, and of course you can always disable push notifications. Some people like to have the notifications for things like Twitter or Skype, what have you. I've gone and disabled them at this point. There's work folders. Work folders, again, I've disabled work folders because I don't actually have to remotely connect to anything to work on my homework, so to speak. So I've gone ahead and I've disabled that because, again, that's just another area for us to reduce our attack surface. And then we have the Xbox Live services at the very bottom. Now, I don't actually have an Xbox, but the Xbox Live Authentication Manager is just the authentication protocol for interacting with Xbox Live. Then there's Xbox Live Game Save, which is for remotely saving your games when you're at somebody's house. And then Live Networking Service is the protocol that traverses network address translation, or NAT. And that completes our Windows 10 services tutorial and how-to guide. If you like these videos, please feel free to come to clearconfig.net or subscribe to our videos. I'm going to be doing a whole nother series of videos regarding Windows 10, and then we'll be moving into some Linux. If you guys have some suggestions of what kind of Linux you'd like to see, please feel free to comment in the video box below. Don't forget to like my videos and subscribe for more awesome ClearConfig videos.